Hey guys, if you've been following me for any time now, you'll know that I like to review smartwatches and trackers and things like that. And recently, I had an opportunity to pick up a new smartwatch called a K88, which I loved the look of and thought I would go ahead and give it a shot. So it just arrived the other day. I've been wearing it for the last almost week now. I'm loving it, and I thought I'd take a couple of minutes just to show you what it looks like. Okay, so first thing, when we take a look at this watch, you can see that the front of it is very, very smooth and shiny. You can actually see, that's my camera that you're recording on right here. The front of it is very, very smooth. It's actually got a great feel to it overall. The case is made from aircraft aluminum, so it's going to be very durable, and it's going to be very lightweight. I was actually surprised at how much lighter this watch is than some of my other metal smartwatches. If we flip it over to the back, we can see that it's got, oops, let's open this up. It's got some metal contacts here on the back. Those are going to be for data and charging. It does come with an included connection here, or an included cable. It is magnetic, and I will say that the cable leaves a little bit to be desired here as far as when it makes this connection. When you first connect the cable itself, in fact, we've got it right here. It's kind of finicky in the way it sits, but if you've got, say, a stand or something like this that you can rest it on, charging is actually pretty simple. Just make sure that you don't bump this too much because it will come loose fairly easily. On the flip side, though, if it is on a stand or something similar and it gets bumped, you don't have to worry about this doing any damage or ripping out of like a USB connector there. So it's kind of a mixed bag here, but it does work very, very well. So right above this connector here is a heart rate sensor that does work very, very well, and we'll cover this a little bit when we get over into the software side of things. It does work very well. I've tested it against medical grade devices, and the numbers are pretty much spot on. Right above that, we're also going to have a speaker. This is where we're going to get all of our tones and music and all of that kind of stuff is all going to come through right there. Now, one thing I really do want to talk about here is this band, this watch strap, and they're calling it a Milanese watch strap, and it's a very fine metal strap here that might remind you of, like, say, chainmail or something similar to that. And it's actually, I was concerned when I first got it that it might pull arm hairs or something similar, but what I can say is that it does not. I've been stunned by the fact that even with it on like this, it doesn't pull arm hairs at all, and it's actually very, very comfortable. Because this is a fine chain mesh, it breathes very, very well. I don't ever get any sweating or any kind of that kind of grossness under here. And even though it is a magnetic clasp down here, you can actually see that reconnecting all on its own. Everything stays in place. Like, I never have to worry about it just coming loose and falling off. Just the way it's built is really, really well done, and holds it right where I want it all the time without having to constantly fidget with this little clasp right here. So now that we've taken a look at the fit and finish, let's actually turn the watch on and kind of go through some of the different screens on here to get an idea of what it'll do. So, in order to turn this on, all we're going to do is we're going to press and hold this button just for a couple of seconds, and then our screen comes on. You can see the screen lights right up. It looks great. The colors are vibrant. And there's actually, like, this is just one of, I think, 6 or 7 different watch faces that you can use. This is actually the current time right now. But if we go ahead and we just kind of swipe through, we can see that we've got notification areas where we can go in and look at all of our notifications. I don't have any presently, but we can actually decide which notifications we want to receive by using the app on the phone. So we'll swipe back. It's got a find device. So let's say you've lost your phone. Maybe it's slipped down into the couch or whatever. We can press that button and it will actually ring your phone, which I think is great. We've got alarms. I don't actually have any alarms set up on here. But again, I've got those set up on my phone. Again, we can swipe back. Calendar. The calendar leaves a little bit to be desired, in my opinion. It does show today's date, which is fine, and it does show a calendar, but you can't really do anything in here. So we go back again. Let's scroll one more. We've got access to our phone book, our dialer, call logs, messages. I'm not going to open any of that from here, but just know that you can access all of those on whatever device your watch is paired to. It's got a stopwatch here, so we should be able to go ahead and start that, and then of course stop that. And we can swipe back. Main menu, we can decide if we want 1 app or 4. Right now it's on the 4 apps, which we've already seen here. But if we go back into main menu, we can select 1 app, and then it just goes through each app individually. So you've got some customization options there for whichever mode you prefer. There are some different themes that you can use. And really it's just going to be a background option behind your screens internally. And they're kind of hard to see on screen here. There you can kind of see there's like a little galaxy thing going on in the background there. But I'm a bigger fan of just leaving it simple there. Power saving, I kind of dig. You can turn that on. And it's going to dim the screen a little bit here. But what I can say is even with power saving off, I usually get a couple of days of battery use out of this before I have to recharge it or do any of that kind of stuff. And of course, those battery times will also depend on how many different apps you're getting notifications from, how much screen on time you've got, things like that. You got a calculator, which, I mean, I guess you could use, but seems like it might be a bit tedious. But if you're just looking to do something quick, could be pretty handy at the same time. Settings, we can go in here, we can go to our Bluetooth settings, turn our power for Bluetooth on and off, visibility on and off. Now keep in mind, turning Bluetooth off will disable the notifications from your phone. Clock, you got some different clock types. So let's go ahead and look through some of these. There we go, we'll swipe these. Kind of a car dashboard kind of thing going on there. More of a fancy watch look, an even fancier watch look. Just a very simple watch. Kind of a digital thing going on there. More of a sports theme. And then the one that I've had it on basically since I got it, as it does tend to be my favorite. Time sync on, which is great. Periodically it'll ping your phone to make sure that it's got the right time on it. And then if you turn that off, you can manually set the time through some of these other interfaces here. Sound, you can set it, you can change your alert type to ring only, vibrate only, or ring and vibrate and then ring and then vibrate. Like lots and lots of different options, or you can just straight up mute it. I like vibe only. That's just a personal preference for me. And then there's some different notification tones and options there as well for rings and tones. If we go back into the display, here you've also got some different options. The 4 menu or the 4 app style, how bright do you want this to be? You can actually turn this way up. Of course, the brighter you turn this, the shorter your battery life will end up being there. Screen timeout, 15 seconds is the default. Works pretty well for me. Oops, let's back out of there. Let's see, what else? Units, you can do metric or imperial. I'm in America, we use imperial here, so that's what I've got my watch set to. International, some apps. I don't have any apps installed on here right now. And you can get more information about what your device name is. Here it's the K88, that's default name. Some different some different addresses here for hardware. And then some connected services, that sort of thing. So all kinds of really good information in here as well. Let's see, you can do voice memos, which is great in case you want to leave yourself just a quick little note. Motion, you got some different options here. You can flip your wrist to mute incoming calls or alarms. Wake up gesture is on, so if you're wearing the watch, you can just flip your wrist up, the screen will come on. So some different options in there as well. Siri, so this is going to be an iOS specific thing, I believe, so that you can connect directly to Siri for that. The sleep monitor is great, except that you have to turn it on manually at night. And you have to tell it to start and stop manually. The heart rate is the same thing. Again, this works really, really well. And again, I've tested this against medical grade devices. Works really well. Sedentary, you can actually tell it, kind of get off your butt every once in a while. Like, how often do you want to be reminded? In minutes, maybe every 30 minutes is a good idea. Take it up and go walk around. The pedometer, this is actually remarkably accurate. I've tested this this feature on a lot of different devices, and I will say that this is probably the most accurate pedometer I've ever used on one of these smartwatches, say next to a Fitbit. The one thing I will say is that you do have to go in and manually start and stop this. So if you're going to go out for a watch, maybe start it and then stop it when you're done with your walk or whatever the case may be. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't track this automatically, and that's I wish it did, but at the same time, it does diminish your battery faster. Here we've got some Bluetooth settings. That's connected to my V20. It will also let you do remote camera capture from your phone. And from here, you can control different music things based on what's on your phone. I really think that is everything here. Okay, so the next thing we want to take a look at here is actually the associated app for the watch. It's called FundoWear, which is kind of an odd name to me, but that's what they decided to name it. And this is going to be your main screen here. And I haven't been using the pedometer, which is what it's trying to show here in the last few days. But if we go back just a few days, we can see that it actually did track some of my steps that day. And this is a little wonky. For some reason, this doesn't seem to work as well, and I don't know why. But it does show here a bit of what's going on. It shows how many calories you burned, how many steps you took, and the distance traveled. We go up to the top left. We can look at heart rate data. I haven't done any of that today. Apparently it hasn't transferred any of that for some reason, but it does have that option in there. Your sync data, you can tell it to sync manually if you need it to, which is great. Come back into here. In settings, we can take a look at user settings, notification settings, alert settings, the introduction to the app and things like that. So if we go into like notification settings, it's going to have two different screens in here. One is for personal apps, and one is going to be for system apps. And you'll want to probably actually go in and turn all of these off for the most part, except for the services you really want to get notifications from. Like, I don't necessarily need anything from Cinemark. That's actually an app that I've installed since I got this phone, or sorry, this watch. So go ahead and turn that off and click Save. And now I shouldn't get any notifications from there. But basically all of the apps that are on your phone here, you can turn those notifications on and off depending on what you want to receive for notifications. Now, the one thing I will want to make a note of here is that while it might be fine to get notifications from, say, like Twitter and your phone and Instagram, things like that, when you go into services like oh gosh, let's see. Oh, like YouTube, for instance, or Pandora. If you've got these notification services turned off for your media apps like that, your wrist will beep or vibrate every time a new video plays or every time a new song plays, and that gets tedious. So I would encourage you to go in and turn off everything except for what you really want notifications for. We can go ahead and take a look at alert settings. This one also. This is great because if you've got the alert settings and the range alert, and you've got all of this turned on, it will notify you when your phone and your watch lose connection. Sometimes, though, you'll get a false positive, and even if your phone is in your pocket and you lose connection for even a second, they both start chiming at each other, and that can be tedious as well. So you may need to calibrate this a little bit to make sure that that doesn't happen regularly. Function introduction here. This just kind of shows you about notifications, entertainment, health and fitness, that sort of thing. You can do little tutorials on those. User helps, kind of a user manual thing there. Not much going on there. If we go down to the bottom, I think that's everything up here. Oh, you can actually go in and set your goals for what you want your steps, your intensities to be, things like that. And we'll come back out of that. And then in the bottom right here, we'll click plus. and we can edit things, we can manually input things. So overall, it's a very simple app that goes with the watch, straightforward, easy to use, not really much I would give them in the way for improvement there. Okay, so there you have it. Overall, it's built great, it looks great, it feels great, it's comfortable, it breathes, it does all the stuff that I would want a smartwatch to do, and it's got a great battery life to go with all of that. So if you're interested in picking one of these up, I'll have a link in the description down below, as well as a coupon code for 15% off your purchase. So go down to the description and check that out. So let me know down in the comments, what kind of features do you look for when you're trying to buy a new smartwatch? Does it need to have a leather band or a metal band? What kind of features and functions are you looking for when you're trying to purchase a new smartwatch? Okay guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the video there. Thanks for your time. I always appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Also, don't forget to check the description area to find out other ways you can help support the channel. Thanks a lot.